Hello and welcome back to the show. So I'm really excited to be introducing my guest for today, Matthew Taylor. So if you guys didn't know who Matthew was, he is a successful real estate agent and leader who has over 16 years of experience in residential real estate, both in resales and new home sales as well. So Matthew has achieved Agent of the Month, Top 10 Agent of the Year, number one in closed transactions, and is also a certified real estate instructor with the Arizona Real Estate Department as well. So he is a trainer, he is a coach, and also a successful real estate professional. In today's episode, he's going to be sharing a little bit about his experience as well as how he helps other real estate agents as well. So Matthew, man, welcome to the show. Super excited to have you join us
Thank
here
you.
today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, that's good. I do have that experience. I got about 21 years now, but I have and I worked for the Arizona School of Real Estate and Business, but now I transitioned. I'm in California. So I'm not working for that school any longer, but I did for many, many years.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. So I know it's like every time we do an interview, like you get the bio of the guest, and
Oh
then
yeah.
it updates every time, right? And then when the episode
Oh
is
yeah.
out, the same thing happens too, and somebody
Yeah.
listens to it, 2, 3 years later, it happens. But you're clearly very experienced. So why don't you take us through a little bit about your background? Because you do have real estate sales experience and also coaching experience in more than one state. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and also just kind of your overall story as a real estate professional?
Yeah. So I started in real estate actually. I got my license in 2003. So I was a social work manager for the county of Ventura, which is where I still live. And I'd always wanted to get into real estate because I loved social work, but I'd done that job for 20 years. And as you can imagine, it can be very emotionally engaging. And in fact, I was a social work manager. So I ran a large human services agency here in our county. So I managed behavioral health specialists, mental health specialists, regular social worker, gain social workers. We had a component of the welfare department and welfare benefits. I also was a grant writer for the Meals on Wheels program. So it was just a lot that I was managing. And so I said, I want to transition into real estate. So I ended up doing that in 2000. I got my license in 2003. And that's when my family, my wife and my three sons, we moved to Arizona, northern Arizona, Prescott, Arizona. And I started working in real estate there. I actually started with a land developer because I speak Spanish. I speak fluent Spanish. So he wanted for the company to buy land in Mexico and start developing land over there. So because I was bilingual, I got that job. And so we opened a company there. When I say we, it was my boss's money and his partners, but we opened up Mexico land and ranches because we had Arizona land and ranches, we had Washington land and ranches, Utah. I did a lot of business in all those states, but we opened up Mexico land and ranches and we bought 47,000 acres, which is a huge chunk of land with 13 miles of pristine beach. So I started doing land development. So that's how I really started in my real estate. I did a lot of HR for the company as well. I would do some SWOT analysis and all of that, things to kind of help our sales and production because we had sales staff that would sell real estate for us in different states. So I did that. And then in 2010, my boss wanted to open up a residential real estate company. He goes, man, I want you to manage this office. And because I want to open up residential. So he did that in Prescott. So in 2010, that's when I started doing more residential real estate. And we opened up a big office. We recruited agents, which was really successful. And that company is still in existence today, by the way. And it's probably the number one office in that city. So that was my introduction to that. And that's right a little bit after the crash happened. So we were doing a lot of short sales and stuff. So I was coaching agents and helping agents. I'm not really an official, like I would say, real estate coach. I don't have clientele that I call and say, hey, are you making your calls today? Have you done this? Are you reaching out? Are you managing your database? Anything like that. I just managed the office. So every day I would get questions from new agents that I was training. Because at that time, I did start I've always been a trainer, even when I was a social worker. So I would do in-office trainings, and then somebody from the Arizona School of Real Estate and Business saw me training one day. They came to one of my classes, asked me if I would start working for the Arizona School of Real Estate and Business, training the 90 hour over there. It's 90 hours for pre-licensing, and then all the CE classes in the state. I was training those, and then I started training brokers, doing the broker licensing and the broker clinics. So because of that experience managing this individual office, I was able to help agents, right, help start their career and form that foundation. That's really critical when you're first starting, right? Learning all the things you need to do, holding yourself accountable, and having these daily tasks in order to kind of get business, right? We all That's the one thing in real estate, right? Kobe, is it's all about getting clients, right? We need sellers, we need buyers, or we're not in, we're not in the real estate business. So I was just teaching them all of those things because I learned that as myself as well. And so it was fun to do because I loved help. I still do. I love helping people. I really love the process of seeing somebody become successful because I knew a lot of people, as you probably know too, you're a lot younger than me. I'm 62 right now. I was younger then, but this is a career that a lot of people wanted to get into, and they were kind of handcuffed to their last job because it was hard to leave because they had a family to support. And in real estate, you're usually not making money for the first few months, some people not even the first year. So I love seeing that transition, that seeing people get into a job that they always wanted to work in. And I thought, I'm if I can just impart my knowledge with them and help them and guide them a little bit to see them become successful. It was the same feeling I had when I would train social workers, because that's also a job where people have a lot of passion and want to become successful. So it just kind of came natural for me. So I love doing that, and helping people. So it really was great. And I trained, there's a guy right now, I should have asked him if I could mention his name, but his name's James Mitchner, but he crushes it. He actually works in Prescott, Arizona, and he was brand new. And I just kind of worked with him. I wasn't his coach. He actually got some coaches, but I was just there every day answering his questions. And he became very successful, and so successful that he owns multiple properties, and he is a hard money lender. When you're a hard money lender, it's because you're very successful. So I love seeing him too. He's married now with kids, and I love seeing his success. So that's the big part of it. Yeah, that's a little about my background. Then I'll end, I guess I can end that with I worked that, and then in 2019, my family and I transitioned back to California, which was crazy because we had lived in Arizona for about 16 years, a little bit longer, but we transitioned back to California. So here, the Arizona School of Real Estate Business, actually a real estate school, wanted me to train the California contracts too when I first moved here, but I didn't because I wasn't familiar with the California contracts, honestly. And I said, it's going to take me some time to learn it. They're very different than Arizona, and before I train on them, I really want to know the process, stuff like that. So I've been back in California now for a little over 6 years, and doing real estate.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've always been a servant leader. Doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Whether if you're in the real estate business as, traditional agent, or in your previous career as a social worker, or, as your almost like unofficial title as a real estate trainer and a coach as well. So is that something that, you mentioned it was something you've always liked doing, is helping other people in your previous career, but when getting into real estate, right, is that, sound about right? You got into like mentoring and coaching agents almost on accident, right? Just kind of people who were coming
Oh
up
yeah.
to you and you were thrust
Oh
in
yeah.
this leadership position to help other agents.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think when we first talked, I kind of told you a little bit of my story. I started like helping people without really, I mean, I knew I was helping people, but I told you I spent my first year of life in an orphanage in San Diego called the Hillcrest Receiving Home. And then after a year, there's what, seven of us. My brothers and sisters were also in that orphanage, but they had separated us to different areas based on age. So I really didn't see them growing up that for that one year. And then we all got back together because they placed us back with our parents. Didn't work out. We ended up going to different foster homes. So I was raised in foster homes, and I found myself being the one person that other foster kids would come to. And it was crazy because I was young, but I just had an innate ability to help people with trauma, and help people down a pathway that would lead them to be positive and be successful. So it just happened innately because I'm just one of those people that I would see somebody that was hurting or see somebody in need, and I would just start conversations just like we do in real estate. It's building rapport and building trust and confidence and helping them help themselves. I mean, there were a lot of foster brothers and sisters. I mean, in a lot of foster kids commit suicide, believe it or not. And there were just a lot, especially back in the late 70s and early 80s, stuff like that. So I just started guiding people through that, which encouraged me. Then I said, you know what? I think I want to be a social worker because I can help a lot more people. So I did do that. I became a social worker when I was 22 years old. and entry level. And then I was very successful at that. And just innately, like we talked about, and I'm very blessed that way. I don't say it at all in a bragging way, because I just feel like, that was kind of my purpose. And so, and I want to preface something like I never wanted sympathy or pity. That was something I never liked. I didn't want, and I rarely tell that part of my story because I don't want people to say, "Oh, poor you," because I'm really lucky because I've been blessed in my life. I had 18 years. Once I aged out of foster care, the rest of my life was on me. And I've had 42 years of amazing life. So when I became a social worker, I was within 18 months, I was already a lead worker. It was crazy. I elevated really quickly, and I was training. And then I started working with the hard to reach foster kids. They're the ones that really have a hard time adjusting, right? Because they've went through some really heavy trauma, lots of sexual abuse and stuff like that. So in my training, I started training other social workers. The same thing kind of happened. Somebody from UC Davis saw one of my trainings and came down and visit, and they asked if they could attend some of my trainings, and the county let them do that. So then they asked me if I would work for them. So I became a trainer for UC Davis Extension. And what I would do is I would just go through the whole state of California and train other social workers on all kinds of topics, mostly like the long-term effects of sexual assault and abuse on children, but also active listening. And I would help foster kids in that. My job, and the reason I did that, because I was working full time still. So working for UC Davis, it was my part-time job. So a couple times a week, they'd send me wherever to different counties and I would train. But the reason I did that, I said, you know what, Matt, how could I actually be more effective with what I know growing up in foster homes? And then also being a trainer and helping foster kids to train other social workers who didn't have my background to make them more effective in how they work with foster kids. So I was training social, and that's why I did it. I was training them so that I knew that they could do that domino effect and help a lot of people. So I love that part. I love that job. So and I did that for 20 years and I was very successful and stuff like that. And it was wonderful and I would actually, there's a lot of burnout in that job. There's a lot of mental stress and stuff. So I would also train a class called stress management and overcoming burnout. And I would move social workers around like, hey, I can see you're really struggling right now. I'm going to take you out of child protective services and move you to adoptions. I'm going to put you over here and stuff like that. And so I love doing that. And I was really effective at it. So I loved it, loved it, loved it. And then after that, I did that 20 years and then I transitioned out and that's when I went to Arizona. So because of that, like just to follow up with your question, is yeah, I just really feel that that's something that I love doing. I'm the kind of person, if I see somebody hurting, it's just I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna go say, hey, can I talk to you? How's it going? What's going on? You feel like sharing it, stuff like that. So I do that, and I do that in real estate, and I actually do that with clients, right? Because when we serve clients, right, in real estate transactions, I can usually tell they're struggling with something else or something like that. And I try not to, I mean, I always innately incorporate some social work into my job because it's still a helping field. But, we help clients, as you know, divorce, selling houses that people are getting divorced. That's a niche in real estate. And so, it's not just, hey, I'm here to sell your house. Please sign the forms. I know whoever I'm working with is struggling too, right? Because it's not easy going through divorce and I've never done it. I've been married 34 years, on wood, but I understand it because I worked with divorced couples as a social worker. So I still feel like I try to do that, right? Help people that way. And um, when I help elderly clients, a lot of times somebody gets widowed, and that happens a lot, especially in my area. And then they say, oh, I'm going to sell my house. My husband passed away a few years ago. I need to move to Seattle to live with my daughter. And so I really help them because I know it's going to be a transition, right? They're giving up a little bit of their independence, having to sell their house. So I do try to, when I'm doing my buyer consultation or seller consultation, kind of spread out a little bit and kind of let them know, hey, I'm here for a lot of aspects of this transaction. I want to be able to help you human being to human being. I'm going to guide you through this and you can trust me, right? You can trust me that I'm going to make sure that I advocate for your completely best interest. I'm a fiduciary, but I'm also somebody who says, hey, this person needs my ultimate and my utmost professionalism and my skills to help her get to the next place. So I love doing that. That's part of what I love about real estate.
Yeah, and I can tell, right, just from the way you share and the way that you're so open about your experiences in the past as well. It's really incredible to see, agents like yourself who goes out there and not just serve your clients, but also serve the industry as a whole as well, right? Because you mentioned, same thing in social work. When you can train other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, the domino effect, it has a much bigger impact as well. Which kind of leads me to my next question, which is You mentioned, one of the biggest, most important things an agent needs to do in the beginning of their careers and consistently is being able to get business, right? Being able to get buyers and sellers. So have you found yourself training a lot of agents who are maybe newer or even been in the business for a while that are struggling with that? How do you usually approach when a new agent or somebody comes to you for help, making sure that they're successful, but also empathizing with them as well and making sure that they feel comfortable sharing with you, right? Which, is almost like a superhuman skill that you have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I always sit down with their agents and say, just let's outline what your goals are. What do you like? What areas do you think you want to serve? What kind of, you want to work with the niche? Do you want to work with divorces or probates? Do you like listing? Do you want to be a seller's agent, buyer's agent, or both? In this market, you really need to be both, right? If you want business. And understanding also their family dynamics and their financial dynamics helps, right? Because if they say, oh, I've got $70,000 in the bank, I've got some time to be able to get my clients. Other people say, no, I quit my job, I've got $10,000 in the bank, I need to make money fast. So, but because I really feel I'm a hands-on, like I said, I'm not a coach, I don't work for any of those coaching programs, but I just guide people. And I will say, okay, let's do this, what are you comfortable with? And I tell people you have to sometimes go out of your comfort zone, because if they tell me I don't like talking to people, I'm gonna say, well, this might not be the job for you. But you know, I don't like door knocking, or I don't like cold calling. Well, I said, well, then let's look at those factors. Why don't you like it? Where do you feel uncomfortable? And because we're all uncomfortable, most of our time, no matter what job you have. Those first couple meetings when you start a new job, you're always finding your place. No matter when you go into a situation or a room when there's other strangers, if you're just waiting in a dental lobby or something like that, there's always that uncomfortable until you start a conversation with somebody. It just kind of we naturally ease up a little bit our tension. But so I would say, let's work on this. I'm going to go door knocking. I want you to follow me and I want you to shadow me. My son, who's here today too with me, but he's a real, I have three sons. My 27-year-old has been a realtor since he turned 18, right when he graduated high school. So he actually helps our agents a lot too, because he loves cold calling. He's really great at it, engaging people. He does door knocking. So he just finished a class today. He trains at our office. He trains all the brand new agents. Every Monday he trains a brand new agent training to help them go whatever forms or contracts, whatever. So my son's now a trainer. So I love that I raised a trainer. But so he does that part. I don't really cold call anymore, but my son does. So I always say, okay, I want you to shadow my son. He's going to cold call. He can work with you on that, stuff like that. But I will find, to answer your question, I'll find out where their strengths are. Like I do a little mini SWOT analysis, like strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then I'll say, okay, it looks like you're really strong in this area, that you would really excel sitting down face to face with somebody. Let's get you face to face. So let's either going to be door knocking or we're going to be doing networking. You're going to go to network meetings. I'll go with you, and it's not that hard, right? So that's pretty much how I get them engaged, and then start them. I'll follow up with them until, like, almost like a child, right? When you start them ABCs until you can start hearing them on their own do the ABCs, then you know that they're growing, and then they feel a little bit more comfortable. But also, I think it's important to expose them to other agents, right? And they can kind of see and say, oh, I simulate more with that person, and I see myself with that person. And I'm really good at pairing people up that way. Once I have my initial conversations and I see them doing some things, I say, oh, you know what? You can do this. And because, like, you and I are both with eXp Realty, we have a wonderful support system with not just with an eXp, but also our sponsors. We have 7 levels, and my direct sponsor, earns about $2 million a year GCI. So he's phenomenal in all aspects of real estate. And he doesn't every Friday ask me anything. And he also will let our agents go watch him make phone cold calls. He's an expert at it. So I have a lot of help. It isn't just falling on my shoulders, right? I have a lot of help and resources that I can refer people out to.
Yeah, and that's really cool as well because you're not just going out there kind of telling people what to do, but you take the
Right.
approach which is kind of like they teach this now, I guess a lot of leadership handbooks or leadership trainings, like you have to let people know what you're doing first, right? You take them and then you do it with them first, and then when they're ready, they can be able to do it successfully independently as well. So you've always taken that approach, which is, let people shadow you. You mentioned that you're letting people go on door knocking appointments with you. You are going to networking events with other agents as well, so that way they
Right.
don't feel like they're alone. Because in the beginning, right, it can be very daunting, especially as a real estate agent, where you're just kind of thrown into the world of, hey, it's now up to you to make an income, if you don't sell, right, if you don't sell houses and make commissions, you're not going to be eating next month, essentially. So that's, I think it's a
Yeah.
really incredible approach that you take with agents that you help essentially.
Yeah, and I do guide them that way. And there are some agents that I will say, oh, I think you would fit better in this niche, or let's try this, or let's try that. And like some of them, I say, you know what? Like for new home sales, because I did do new home sales for, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years. I worked selling brand new houses, the whole process of helping somebody choose a lot, choose a floor plan, choose a design, how to position that house on the lot that they purchased to make sure it was the best, you know, format for how their house was going to sit on every aspect, ordering all the design centers and all that. So I would tell people, I think you would excel in working in a new home model complex, because there's an art to showcasing homes and showcasing amenities and kitchens and gourmet kitchens and all that stuff like that. So I was successful doing that. So I will tell people, I think you might be good over here, or you might be good over here. But they also find their way with just a little bit of guidance. You can guide them in things. And fortunately now, because back in the day, we didn't have YouTube, right? We didn't have YouTube or anything to watch. I mean, you've got some amazing videos that I've learned from your videos. So we didn't have that back then, right? It was like they needed a trainer and they needed to have somebody guide them. And now you can get you can find somebody on YouTube, look at a couple different ones and then merge some of the styles. And then, or you find someone like you. That's how I found you. I found you on online, and I say, hey, I want to have co-sponsor with that guy because I like his style. I mean, I can tell you're a good human being too, right? So that helps too. We have YouTube and online training too.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Used to you have to go out there and
Oh yeah,
purchase a lot of training materials. Now it's like all this free training, right? So we don't even suggest people go out there and like pay a bunch of money for
oh
coaching that
yeah,
you can just pretty much find online for free. So it's all about, I think you mentioned, being resourceful, right? Being able to just be willing to learn and be willing to look for that information as an agent, and go ahead and go out there and apply it as well in your marketplace so that you can you can take it and be successful.
yeah. And yeah, thank you for that. And that you brought it up about paying for training. That was one of my big pet peeves. When I worked up in Prescott. Sometimes it's because I worked a lot down in Scottsdale at the Arizona School of Real Estate. They had about 6 campuses, different areas of down Phoenix area. And so, but they didn't have an office up in Prescott. They call it Prescott, but it's really phonetically Prescott. But I would train, we had a building. And so there was like KW. I didn't work for KW. I didn't have a license with KW, but they offered our school, hey, we have a big training room, you guys can use our training room for free. And I kind of thought that was odd, so I told the school, I don't know, I feel comfortable if we rent a room at the big place and then going to a specific real estate office. But they said, hey, no, they're offering their training room free. So I actually worked in a Keller Williams office training continuing ed and training pre-licensing. And then like always, someone says, oh, I'm going to sit in on your class. Then they asked me if I would train their classes for them, if I would move my license over and stuff. And the only thing I didn't like about that was they have a training called Bold, they have Ignite, and I knew those curriculum and those systems and those training programs. But it was $800 for new agents. And I would tell them, so you expect a brand new agent to come in, when they're like, they don't have a lot of money and they just paid for real estate school. They just paid for their license. Now they just paid their MLS dues to join an MLS, which are $700. And they also had to pay another $700 to join an association. And now you want them to pay $800 for a training class. If you let me train for free, I will train for you. I'll be your trainer, but you can't charge. Of course, that's not part of their program. So I didn't work there. It didn't work out. They were trying to recruit me heavily and I didn't. But now that's another, not to compare, I'm not here talking about all the different brokerages, but that's one thing that I navigated towards EXP for, because I thought, the training's free, right? We have 80 hours a week and we have class just almost similar to Bold, right? We have the fast track, right? And we have the go curriculum, all those things that really help agents, but they're free. So that's the part of me that as a trainer, I mean, if I had something, I still probably would do it all free. Like I know people sell things, they go out there and sell things, but I mean, at this point in my life, I really want to help people. I think if you help people like that and they show that you invest in them, then you'll have a great agent. You'll have somebody that is loyal to you and has your back, and then just, it's part of that giving part of in real estate, how we give to others, right? We, teach a man to fish and they can earn themselves. I love that part of it. I know not all agents do that, but so I do that, but that's the one thing, yeah, that training is easy. And before you had to pay for it, some training costs were outrageous, right? And some brokerages say, oh, take this class, it's $800. but you got to take it 10 times. Oh, you have, when's the last time you took bold or you took that class? Oh, a year. Oh, you need to take it again. And under $800. I don't know. You can go broke in this bit. That's why they call brokers brokers, right? Because they're broker, they're more broke than anybody. But yeah, it's fun. I like the training aspect of it, and I still do.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty insane, right? $800. I got to take the training ten
Oh
times.
yeah.
It's about
Yeah,
10
yeah.
worth of training costs
Yeah.
when it started.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you mentioned a few times about your experience at EXP as well. So I think it, definitely makes a lot of sense that, somebody like yourself with a profile of not just being successful in sales, but also just naturally gravitating towards helping other agents would be gravitated towards a model like EXP as well. So why don't you walk us through a little bit about how did you hear about EXP? What was your decision-making process? And just what your overall experience has been like so far at this company at EXP Realty.
Awesome. Yeah. So actually next month will be 3 years with EXP. So I was with another brokerage here. And so the one son that I mentioned, his name is Brandon. He is a realtor, active realtor with me. But when we first moved back from Arizona, my older son, John Carlo Taylor, was a realtor. He was really good at it too. He was really good at engaging people up in Arizona. But he worked here locally for a real estate office, just helping them do all their onboarding and all of that. We were all there at a different brokerage. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to get out of the business, Dad. I'm going to go work in sales and stuff like that. So he's very successful working for another sales company. But so at that point, um, my direct sponsor, Jose Luis Morales, I knew him anyways because he was one of my nephew's friends, but I knew him always to be very successful and he just crushes it here. And you drive around town, you see his pictures on these moving trucks and all that. So he actually called me and said, hey, Matt, I would love to talk to you and Brandon about being with EXP. And so when we went, I mean, um, I looked at the business model and I knew right away. And the reason I did, I guess I should bring this up too. When I worked for UC Davis, not only did I train just social workers, there was a management training they had called Achieve Global. And I was very fortunate that they selected me to say, hey, Matt, we want you to be a trainer for this leadership academy at UC Davis. And it was mostly for businesses. So back in those days, this is like 1998, around 1998 up to 2000. Stephen Covey was still alive. So he was one of our trainers. It was Stephen Covey, Tom Peters, Ken Blanchard, Dr. Robert K. Cooper. We had a really good training. They trained us to be trainers. So train the trainers for management series. And a part of that was UC Davis would send out these teams. If somebody called, whether it was a big business, small business, a city or municipality, right? Or a county, like I worked for the county. So, hey, we need help, right? So we would go down there and we would do a SWOT analysis, like a big one. Sometimes it was just me, but depending on what the need was, how big the company or how big the county was, there could be a team of us. And we would go down and we would spend anywhere from 3 days to sometimes 2 weeks doing a SWOT analysis where we would interview employees, we would look at the books, we would look at their processes, all of that, right? Their policies and how they had, if they had a book or how organized they were. And we would look at the business model and their plan, and we would evaluate it and critique it and then guide them on how to be more successful. If you need to increase your revenues, you have to augment this. If you need more employee retention and satisfaction, you need to do this with your employees. You need to implement this. So when I saw this business model, it was a no-brainer to me. I thought, wow, this is all the brokerages that I've been with. This is the one that I thought, well, this is actually it emulates what I've seen the most successful business programs in the past. And I get a pension every month from being a retired social worker. So I thought, well, in real estate, you don't have a lot of my colleagues don't get pensions, right? And I said, hey, here's an exit strategy. EXP offers you an revenue share opportunity, also stocks in the company. So I started looking at that. And I started looking at the training, right? That the training was free, over 80 hours a week. Who did the training? Our icon agents. So the only trainers that we allow to train in our company, right? As you know, Kobe, are those who have sold at least 25 houses a year, right? And so you're going to get trained by somebody who really knows the business. So I love that aspect of it. I love the fact that they had a lot of support, right? I love the fact that they offered the cloud-based brokerage, which after COVID, we all were really used to just working from home or working in an office and stuff like that. And you look at the cost, right? Any successful business, I don't care what it is, has to look at their costs, their overhead costs, right? What their expenses are. So rental, like commercial leases on a building. When you have a giant building, right? And you have lots of electricity bills, gas bill, whatever it is to keep that printing bill, lots of stuff. So when you look at this business model, I said, wow, it's really effective. And they also provided a solution to an office because we have that contract with Regis. So if you really need an office space, you can go to one, right? So when I looked at all of it, and I really evaluated, it took me about 3 weeks to look at it. And then I talked to my son about it. I said, hey, I think we need to do this. And I'm going to help you too. We're going to help each other because I'm going to have you join and then I'm going to join under you. So my downline will be your part of your downline. So and I looked at that and I compared ourselves to other brokerages that were, starting up, that were mimicking our plan. And I looked at, we have 7 levels, they have 5, they have 4. There's lots of different brokerages you can compare and analyze to. And when you go side by side, apples to apples, EXP was the one that I said, hey, this has to be the brokerage that I'm going to stay with. And I had somebody call me the other day. It was kind of crazy from another brokerage here locally. Uh, Not even trying to recruit me, but this was so strange. They were like, "Hey, I need you. I have some work, and I got this deal going on. Can I do this? Can we collaborate on this deal? And you help me do this, and I help you do that." And I was like, "Well, you got a big brokerage, and you don't have any other realtors at your office that you feel confident in." Like, no, I want you to be you. And so I'm like, well, I'm staying with EXP. I'm not leaving. No, you don't need to leave. We can. I was like, wow. So I was kind of shocked. So I thought, I think that'll help me in the future. But I love that at EXP we got the support. We got 2,500 employees, right? So I like bringing on new people. My son Giancarlo, the one I was just mentioning earlier, that got out of the business. He works for sales. He's actually in Germany right now for his company. He's at Oktoberfest. Gets a fun job, right? But he actually I just brought him on in our referral network because it's, hey, look, this is an opportunity. You can build a downline, stuff like that. I just think it's good for a lot of people. I think it's good for people wanting to get out of the business. If they just say, hey, look, I'm 75. I can still join EXP and be part of the referral program and build a downline. I could also have access to great health insurance, stuff like that. So I love that part. So I've been with EXP about 3 years now, and I've loved it, and I've grown, and we still do trainings. My son does training, I do trainings, and so I'm fortunate because I linked up with another team here that we do have some office space that we can use and invite agents to and stuff like that. So I'm excited about it. I think it's a really good brokerage. I mean, there's so much that I do love about it, right? But I love the collaboration. We can jump on a Zoom, like you're in Texas, I'm in Southern California. You probably know Tina Call, in the Carolinas. I know people all over the place, and we can collaborate and ask questions of agents. It feels like when I was a social worker that um, you can call somebody that is an expert in another state, and because we're not competitors, we're actually collaborators. I think it makes our job a lot easier, right? It's much more satisfying, right? And I love telling my clients, hey, look, I've got 90,000 agents worldwide actually that I can ask any question to if we need help, if we get, because I've had clients that still want to buy in other countries. I've helped people buy houses in Mexico and stuff like that too, right? And I have a lot of family in Europe actually. And so try to help people over there too and stuff like that. So I like all that part about it. I probably didn't touch on everything, but those are the things that I think are great. And I love Glenn Sanford, our founder. I just love that. I think he's a servant leader, right? Because I know the brokerage that he was at, he said, hey, look, how is there a way that we can help he was a franchise owner. How can we give more to our agents? And the person didn't want to. So he goes, well, I'm gonna start my own brokerage then because I want to give back to the agents. I want this to be agent centric. And I love that. I think that foundation, right? If you're going to build a house and you're going to move somewhere, because in this business, it's not easy to move brokerages. You're getting new signs, you're getting new cards, or all the new branding and stuff like that. And then onboarding, honestly, I think in any brokerage takes a good month at least to get fully onboarded and get assimilated to all the new policies and rules and processes. So, but it's been good. And then I through my colleagues that I've met, I actually became EXP Luxury, a member of EXP Luxury, which is phenomenal because we compare to some of the bigger luxury brokerages. Our luxury program and our marketing is phenomenal. And I've actually sold houses using our luxury platform that I know I sold them as fast as I did because the way the platform marketed it in like the Rob Report, James Edition, Wall Street Journal. So I love all that part. So in order to do my job, I wanted to be with, our platform at EXP where I knew that I could just plug into our platform and get this sold, not have to like, oh, let me call Wall Street Journal. Oh, let me call this magazine. I just have one platform with EXP Luxury and it automatically syndicates it to all those high-end luxury marketing platforms.
Yeah, that's really cool about EXP Luxury, in my opinion, because I don't know what other big luxury brands are doing, but the fact that EXP is able to allow, a luxury agent to go
Oh
out
yeah.
there and basically upload their listings once, and then it gets syndicated out to all these different, essentially, affluent
Oh yeah,
marketplaces that
very
can
much
attract
so.
is very impressive. So I think it's really great that you shared your experience with EXP Luxury because it's been something that we've heard a little bit about, but there's still, I think, agents out there, especially luxury agents, who don't maybe 100% understand just the repertoire of tools that you get as an agent under EXP Luxury.
It is phenomenal. Seriously, it's phenomenal. I mean, yeah, so if you're at another brokerage, sometimes if you have a really high end, let's say it's a $6 million home, and you're going to spend at least $10,000 on that marketing, right? So at EXP, there is a fee to be with EXP Luxury. It's about $2,500 a year. You know, you can get certified easily with them. But if you join a team, if the team owner is a member of luxury, then you only pay 950, which is in my situation. But I had it the first year I wasn't on a team, so I paid that, and it was worth it because if you're at another luxury or another brokerage and you're going to spend about $10,000 just for one listing. Here at EXP, you pay $25 for a year and you could put all kinds of listings in, and it just automatically, it syndicates with your MLS and all that. And then you can do different designs. We have, with EXP, we have free Canva Pro. So EXP Luxury has even more beautiful packages with EXP Luxury Marketing. So it's just simple to do it. And I sold a luxury condo and I sold it so fast. Somebody came out of state to buy it because they saw it in the Wall Street Journal, and it was amazing. So it's a lot less expensive to have high-end listings at EXP Luxury because you're spending less money. You're marketing it out in more places, actually, more high-end publications that we talk about. And then of course, we have EXP internal. And so people are sharing their listings on EXP Luxury. Like we have Workplace now at Slack, that there's EXP Luxury. It's a private group and everybody shares their luxury listings and try to get them sold. And almost everybody that's at EXP Luxury, all our managers, leaders, they all came from some of the bigger real world renowned like luxury brokerages that now, and they're the ones who built our luxury program. So we got the best of the best here to do that for us. And I think it's phenomenal. Yeah. Tina Call's part of that. Janie Coffee. There's a bunch more. I know Pete Middleton from Laguna Niguel area is part of it. I mean, we just all their Ed Kaczynski, all their expertise. I mean, in luxury marketing, it's like free coaching too, because we have 2 weekly meetings, but they have a weekly meeting where they're coaching you and guiding you and telling you how to use all the luxury programs. So I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great testimonial, right? Because
Oh
you
yeah.
mentioned also earlier on, Glenn, our founder, he came from real estate agents background too. So all these leaders at
Yeah.
EXP, a lot of people might not know this, they were actually agents just like you and me, right? Just like the people listening to this podcast right now or watching this, they came from the same background, right? And actually, surprisingly enough, kind of rare in today's day and age when you look at the leaders and founders of different big name real estate brokerages, maybe independent, of course they're going to come from an agent's background, but these big brokerages, I think EXP is quite unique in that pretty much all of our leadership are agents or used to be agents themselves.
Yeah, we're now a lot of people, I don't want to say the word copycat, but they mimicked our business model, right? So there's all these, 5 or 6 cloud-based brokerages now. We are the only cloud-based brokerage that was started by a realtor. The other ones were just investors. Everybody said, "Hey, that they created a VCR. Let's go out and try to create a VCR. We can have a manufacturer create it. But they didn't have the foundation, in my opinion, that we have, right? Because we were started by agents, right? So Glenn Sanford's experience. I mean, all of our mega and our beta, our big alpha realtors came from brokerages that they owned. They were a lot of times franchise owners. Um, but they helped us, right? So we're the only one. And then now we have Leo Perea, who is our CEO, and he was like #1 in the world. I think it was Keller Williams, but he was #1 in the world. Like that's how big our agents are, right? And these are the people who are leaders, right? Tom Daves, I think, also was that. And there's so many more. I know so many other names, but there were just a lot of realtors that were the big hitters, not just nationwide, but globally. And speaking of globally, like there's another cloud-based brokerage that's barely they're in the United States already. They're the closest ones to us, I'd say, in terms of competition, but uh, they're just now breaking into Canada. So we are already in, now we're in 31 countries. I don't know if people know that, but we're in 31 countries. And so, and it's easy to grow. It's easy to grow an organization in other countries with other agents. So, but yeah, I love the fact that we're in 31 countries. So there's even, I mean, I can go on and on and on, but there's a globe within EXP Luxury, there's like this global marketing network that we can be part of, and where we could actually get listings in Spain and stuff like that and work and collaborate with an agent there. I mean, it really helps too. And so when you have that on your resume that, hey, I have two listings, one in the south of France, one in Spain, stuff like that. Because, and I have a Spanish realtor that says, hey, Matt, let's collaborate on a deal. I have somebody wanting to sell their house in Huntington Beach, California. I'm not going to go from Spain all the way over there, but it's my international client. And we are selling things internationally. So I learned that from YouTube right when YouTube started happening. And I'm not a big tech guy, right? Because I'm 62. So I was working in Scottsdale for the Arizona School of Real Estate Business, and I was in a meeting and I was training a realtor, and he had this new listing. It was like $10 million in Paradise Valley, where all the big plastic surgeons live. And we got a phone call. We got a phone call, and it was a business gentleman from China who was in town. He wasn't even in town to look at property. He was not there to buy property. He was here for some business meetings. He saw the YouTube video that he was just scrolling, you know, on the internet, and saw the house and said, "Oh, I might want to buy it." Now, he was visiting Phoenix in the winter, so it wasn't that hot yet, and he bought it cash. Seriously, it was a 15-day closing, all cash, $10 million deal from YouTube. And that's when I really noticed the power of social media and YouTube and what it actually does. So, and we're talking about YouTube. Again, I think I already complimented you on that, but I think that's why you're kind of far reaching, right? Because YouTube just exposes you, because I think you're a servant leader too. I think you exude compassion and great humanitarian um, traits. And I think people see that on video, right? They see that through YouTube and stuff like that. So, and like I said, that's how I found you. And there's a lot of people to find. So I was like, hey, this guy I like, and I'm trying. Somebody who, Annette, this girl Annette, who joined under me, she's in Colorado right now. She's licensed there and in Texas. She goes, oh, I have a guy named Tyler I want to bring on from Texas. Like, oh, that's kind of far away, but let's look for a co-sponsor, because I love the co-sponsor thing. We need to have somebody over there. And I'm still going to try to get that guy. I just have to get our meeting going. I'm just trying to help Annette's son on board at the same time. But I go, let me find somebody. So I told her I found this guy named Kobe. So, anyways, but hopefully I can get him and you could be his co-sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so this is another great, great opportunity EXP is
Mhm.
providing for us as well, which is now the collaboration between other
Oh
agents,
yeah.
in different groups, if you will, through this co-sponsorship. And we didn't even get a chance to get too deep into that. But just, if you're listening or watching this, just know that when you're working with EXP, you don't just get to work with one person now. You get to work with now multiple leaders, multiple people who can actually come in and help you. And this is really quite unique. And again, talking about different companies out there who are maybe trying to do similar models like
Yeah.
EXP. I think we're quite unique in the way that we've structured our co-sponsorship that allows us to be able to do this in a unique way without diluting the revenue sharing that, we're receiving from the production of agents as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a great time, even though you look at the market, it's definitely a buyer's market. I want to say that's probably true nationwide. There's probably some little pockets where it still may be a seller's market, but I say for the most part, it's a buyer's market because of the interest rate and the inventory, the amounts of inventory that we have. But I think right now, considering that, I would tell somebody still it's a great time to get into real estate. It's a great time to affiliate yourself with a brokerage like EXP, where you have all of this support, right? And that you can have a co-sponsor, because the co-sponsors do a lot. They don't just, hey, I sponsored you in, right? They're responsible to help train you, give you skills, provide things for you. And there's a lot that I know your upline offers. My upline, I have a great upline that offers a lot of training. I'm affiliated with Lars Hedenborg from Real Estate B School, who it's 30,000 a year normally, and that's free for anybody in our downline. So I love all of that. So, and I know you guys, you're part of the Wolfpack, right? Eventually up on the top, right? Yeah. So then
Yeah.
you guys have your own training, because I think, because you're youthful and you're smart, you have a lot of stuff that you've built on your own. So you have a lot of great things that you can share and help somebody out, right, Bill? So I think right now getting into real estate with the way brokerages are ran now, especially at EXP and what we offer, I think it's a great time to get into real estate, because you can work from home, right? You can, other than going out and having to sell the houses, do open houses, but you can learn online. I mean, all the trainings online on demand when you want it. You could If you're transitioning from a part-time job, you can take some of these classes at night or during, so there's so many ways to learn now. And you're with a brokerage that like we're number one. Like I tell people all that all the time. She's, oh, you're just about recruiting. We're not about recruiting because if we were only about recruiting, how can we sell more houses than any other brokerage? How is it for 3 years in a row? And isn't us just saying it, right? It's third party companies like Realtrans telling us, Glass Doors saying we're the number one brokerage 7 years. Everybody loves EXP. So I love I tell people that. But also, I think when it comes to recruiting, I always tell people, I think initially when EXP was established, people saw it as that, right? People, oh, I'm going to do that. And so there was some stigma around that, but it's really changed. And what people really see that we're not a pyramid, they're illegal in the United States, right? We look at that, but I say, you tell me one company that doesn't have to get employees, one company that doesn't have to recruit. Target, Sears, Macy's, I mean, anywhere, any brokerage, if you're not bringing in agents or you don't have employees, then how can you even be a company? You can't. So everybody has to recruit. The great thing I think that helps EXP is like the retention, right? Because we have 90,000 agents. It's a lot. And we've grown so fast. And now we're even growing more, globally, obviously. But because you have all this support, and you have the access at your fingertips, right? You can log in to a broker. And the one brokerage I was with, I'm going to say this just because of support in terms of brokerage. Like here, I'm lucky in California. We've got about 13 brokers in California. So I could just log in or we could call, I could email, and I get my answers right away. So when I first moved to California, before I moved to EXP, I was at another brokerage, and the broker was a competing broker. She was always out like trying to get listings and had buyers and everything. She wasn't in the office very often. So a lot of the new agents, like they would come to me. I was in the office all the time, so they would come to me, and I go, and people need their answers. Like they need their answers, right? You want to have an answer now. I'm submitting a contract, so we're like, I can go online, go to our broker room, get a broker. If I have a question in Arizona, I could still go on. I'm not licensed in Arizona any longer, but I can go to the Arizona brokerage and ask a question of that broker. What's your policy there? I know enough about that contract stuff too. So it feels almost like, I mean, it's just a great feeling. And it feels like I mentioned earlier, like when I was a social worker, there was a really bad case in Riverside County, and somebody had went through my training, and they said, hey, Matt, there was this little girl. She was 7 months old. What kind of memories you're going to have? Does she have the trauma? And I was like, well, as a consultant, I could go help you. I had it, that luckily that's when we had internet, but if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to be of assistance, right? Go over there and help her and say, this is what's going to happen. She's going to have what's called phantom memories because she's only 7 months. She won't have vivid memories, but blah, blah, blah. So it's just like in real estate. When I need an expert, I can call somebody that I know is really good, whether it's luxury, whether it's commercial, because our commercial division is phenomenal as well, right? EXP Express offers. I mean, we've got the cash. I mean, all the different programs that we have within EXP, I could just call somebody. They're at my fingertips. Hey, I know you excel in that program. I know you excel with Bold Trail or this platform. Can you give me whatever? It's just that I love that part of it. I've not seen that at any other brokerage, even the other cloud-based brokerages, because they only offer one CRM where we offer three, right? So we just got a lot of experts in a lot of different areas.
Absolutely. And Matt, just want to say thank you for taking some time today and joining us on the show. I think you shared a ton of value, as well as a lot of great experiences and all of your roles that you've taken on as a servant leader throughout your many careers and many experiences in business as well. So just for our listeners or viewers out there, if they want to connect with you, if they want to learn a little bit more about how they can work with you and just get connected with you, right? What are some of the best ways for people to follow you or to reach out directly to you?
Well, we do have Instagram. My son runs it, right? It's the Taylor Real Estate Consultants. That's our thing, Taylor Real Estate Consultants. And so that's our website too, taylorrealestateconsultants.com. But so my son does the Instagram. I just do, my regular website, but I help a lot of people here. But they can reach out to me. My phone number is 805-626-0519. I can answer questions for a lot of different things. I mean, I'm helpful and I know a lot about our brokerage. So if somebody said, hey, I just joined, I need help. Where do I find out about EXP Luxury, or where do I find out about express offers or affinity or relocation referrals? Because I love our whole relocation. They can reach out. I'm happy to help anybody who calls.
Absolutely, man. We'll make sure to leave the information description, the show notes down below. But other than that, Matt, before I let you go, is there any last piece of advice, any last kind of golden nuggets you want to leave with the audience before I let you sign off here for today?
I would say I'm hoping that most of the viewers today are realtors or aspiring realtors. So I would say when you build your foundation, I think I mentioned this earlier, you need to start your career with a foundation. If you build a house on a weak foundation or a foundation that wasn't done properly, it's always going to crumble, right? So also you need to, I would say, align yourself with a brokerage that you feel that you can excel, right? And where you can get the most help. And based on how you seek help, right? Because people like as a trainer, I knew that people learn differently, audio, visual, kinesthetic learners, right? You have to be an effective trainer, you have to know how they learn. So I would say for every agent, how you learn, right? What's your style, you know, what's your disposition, align yourself within a brokerage like us that has 90,000 agents. You're going to find somebody that's like you within this brokerage. And then you go together, right? We're stronger together, right? And I think that's our big tagline now. I see a lot of people that move to EXP where they say where the pros go to grow. So I would say align yourself with where you know you can excel and not have to backtrack. I always tell people if you go with the wrong brokerage, it's like getting off the freeway 5 exits before you were supposed to. Do you go through all the side streets and, oh, I got to go here, stop, detours? Or do you say it's more efficient to get back on the freeway and go the path that I should have went? I always tell people that it's going to be important when you make a decision of where you want to have your career and be more successful.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next show. Take care.
Thank you so much, Kobe. I appreciate your time.